supporters, of course, are many, and this is not a new case at this point. It took several years for the world to learn about what was going on, but truly since the mid to late 1980s, the world of governments has known about the Baha'is, the world at the United Nations. And there are dozens and dozens of governments that vote each year for resolutions on human rights violations in Iran, and there are many, many friends. There has been a wonderful development over the last few years where a great number of the Iranian expatriates around the world who had false information, misinformation, disinformation about the Baha'i faith have had a chance to investigate further and to learn for themselves some of the things they understood were not correct. And so there has been a remarkable and wonderful, and believe me, as a Baha'i individual, I'm deeply grateful for the professors, for the individual activists themselves. We talked earlier about Mehrangi's car, but there are a number of people of her stature, Shirin Ibadi, who have been outspoken about the human rights situation in Iran. Professor Abbas Melani at Stanford University, and there are many, many more. I don't mean to be exclusive, but these are luminaries, people who are speaking out from the Iranian community in different parts of the world now. And that's an extraordinarily important dimension, both for Iran itself as well as for the protection of Iran's citizens. You know, opponents, I would offer that it's those who support making sure that, in this instance, the Baha'i faith and the Baha'i religious minority is persecuted. Now, there are those who vote for or vote in support of the Islamic Republic of Iran at the United Nations, for instance. And there are other Muslim nations that will vote against a resolution on human rights in Iran. There are others who believe that the Baha'i faith, like Iran believes, is a heresy, and that the Baha'is should not be permitted to exist. But there is no country that behaves towards its Baha'i minority in the same way that Iran does. There are Baha'is in other parts of the world. There are Baha'is in Arab countries all throughout the world, in Muslim countries, in Central Asia, in Indonesia, and yet those countries don't oppose the Baha'i faith in the active manner that the government of Iran does. So there's a big distinction. In the other countries that I just mentioned, whether you're talking Arab world or other parts of the Muslim world, the rights of Baha'is are not violated, and with an exception which is being fixed and ameliorated as we speak, and that's Egypt, where there had been laws that did not permit the Baha'is their full citizenship, did not permit them to have government-issued identification cards. The government of Egypt is working with the Egyptian Baha'i community. There has been a great deal of work that I was able to partake in with the United States government. We also worked at the United Nations. But the Egyptian government is making every effort to treat its Baha'i minority as full citizens. It's not there yet, but it is working in that direction. Well, the Baha'is have, unfortunately, as an entire community, been stigmatized, and as I mentioned a little earlier, the difficulties that children have in school. They literally would be harassed and sometimes expelled, little school children, by their teachers and administrators. No Baha'i has been able to finish university since 1980, once the university authorities found out he or she was a Baha'i. People would be picked up arbitrarily and put in jail, and held for maybe one night or maybe months or years. Homes are burned, Molotov cocktails thrown. Baha'i grave sites have been desecrated, bulldozers hired in the dead of night to go in and dig up graves. And people have lost their jobs. And so these kinds of things are part of the culture. And then the worst things, of course, are when people are kept in jail for a long time, the leadership having been arrested 2.5 years ago, and now the government just gave them 10 years imprisonment, and the charges were trumped up, saying that they were spies for Israel because the Baha'i World headquarters are located there, things like that. And all of it is based on the fact that they are Baha'is. It's solely because of their religion. In the past, this has been a fascinating evolution over some time, because when I first started this work 25 years ago, everything was done by paper. And so we were very careful to make sure that our paper and our papers were accurate and concise. Obviously, the internet revolution has changed that. It's not that we never use paper, but so much is now by website, and so much is done through various means. I've mentioned already Facebook and Twitter is a way too of getting news out, but so much of our ability to influence and to get the word out is done by maintaining as a diverse number of websites and making sure that they are interactive and always up to date. I would say that the Baha'is have built a coalition in two different ways. There's the Baha'i issue, which is itself a distinct human rights matter, and the Baha'is work as their own religion around the world to advocate for the rights of Baha'is in Iran. There are those who want to work with the Baha'is on that as well. People of other religions and people who work on democracy and religious freedom, people who care about those kinds of issues also work with the Baha'is. But the Baha'is also are very active in networks that deal with human rights broadly and women's rights broadly. And so we have, for instance, here in Washington, D.C., worked on encouraging the United States to become party to a number of UN international human rights treaties, starting with the Genocide Convention and International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, the UN Convention on Women, and even now working on the encouraging the United States to become a party to the Rome Treaty of the International Criminal Court. These are broader coalitions that will bring about various pieces of the structure of the international system, and the Baha'is are very strongly a part of that as well. So there's the specific issue that, of course, the Baha'is wish to protect Baha'is around the world wherever they may be in trouble, and work with others who are interested, but we also are very keen to make sure we work on these broader issues.